So the question is, how do you plan to show up as the right role model for your child? Listening to those children is very important. Only Allah will guide. We're there to support. Are we listening? Most of the time we're not. We're just so judgmental, especially when it comes to addiction support. And when we say addiction, there are different forms, not just taking drugs. There's screen addiction, there's porn addiction, even food addiction. So how are we guiding our children back to Allah? We pray. Do we connect with our prayer? Maybe some of us will not even remember the surahs we recited in Salatul Fajr, because half of the time our mind is wandering. So that ability to pay attention to your thoughts and bring yourself to that present moment and ask the most powerful question of what can I do at this moment that is pleasing to Allah in everything we do is the only thing that can help us and ground us. Everything we know about addiction is wrong. So please, if you have a victim suffering from addiction, don't look at them as just addicts. Look beyond the addiction, because we don't know what they're suffering within them as well. We see them sometimes as selfish. We see them as they don't listen. But when you understand the human psychology, changing habit is not something that you do overnight. And for you to be able to influence and motivate someone to change, you'd need to connect with that person. How do you connect with people? Accepting them the way they are, not the way you want them to be. And I'll say this, acceptance is not approval. Because every time I speak about acceptance, people are looking at me, what? It is not approval. But it is only when you accept somebody as the human being they are, as the beautiful creation of Allah, that you can be able to communicate in their language. Because when you don't, when you communicate, it makes a conscious resistance. Most of the time we're talking to our children, we're advising them, but they're not listening to us. So you'd really need to connect deeply with them by listening to them, by showing them they're human beings, by accepting them. In fact, acceptance begins with yourself as a person. How are you accepting yourself as a human being? Remember again, acceptance is not approval and it's not complacency. However, it is only when you accept yourself that you can connect with yourself and motivate yourself to do better. These children are going through a lot, but we have to give them that listening ear, that safe space, that non-judgmental space for them to be able to show up and communicate to you. Because just as you're telling them, advising them and guiding them, they have their own 70,000 thoughts going on in their heads, and you don't know what it constitutes. So without that connection, there is no communication. And you feel, I talk, and they don't listen. Well, the meaning of communication is the response you get. So when they're not listening, go back, reflect, and think about how you're communicating so that you can communicate better.